Hey traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com on May the 3rd, 2015. In this video we're going to cover the indices, the industrials basically moving sideways, the S&P 500 closing for the week above its 10, 20, and 50 MAs. The comp also closed above its 20 and 50 but is below its 10 EMA, and the Russell closed off by 3.11%, which is basically back at the start of the year. Berkshire Hathaway had its annual meeting this weekend. They reported a net profit of plus 10% and 5.16 billion. We'll cover the top 25 holdings in Berkshire Hathaway. I think you'll find that enlightening. Tick and Tick Q basically flat with a bearish cross on Tick for the NYSE. The comp bounced on Friday. Trend was depressed, so we pointed out that we saw what looked like buying in the midst of that sell-off on Thursday. It also occurred on Wednesday where we saw a low trend. No MADs or MDDs, but the up volume trumped down volume for the week. US dollars lower by 1.7%. Bonds moved lower. TLT was down by 3.73%. And crude oil offset that loss by plus 3.2%. We have a pretty big position in UWTI and USO. Crude continues to perform. It's trending higher. So that's how you make money. You note the breakout and change of trend, and you go with the trend. IBD, we'll be looking at the 50 and see how they fared, and the Berkshire Hathaway top 25 holdings filtered through 10E Stowe MACD setup. Here is the industrials, as we pointed out, basically moving sideways along these volume by price congestion level. We reversed the Thursday candle and closed basically flat and basically closed above the 10 EMA. Slow Stowe continues to move lower, as does the oscillator, and MACD is slightly negative. We moved higher on Friday on decreased volume, lower than average, so we'll keep that in mind as we trade this week. The S&P 500 reversed its Thursday action as well, closed above the 10 EMA, the blue line. So we'll watch for this trend line connecting the tops here for a break higher going into the week. Note Slow Stowe is starting to turn slightly. MACD is somewhat negative. Volume wasn't as high as the preceding 2 days distribution. Here's a chart of the comp using the Elder Impulse system. We see two red sticks on Thursday and Friday, and preceding that, the start of the week, we just continued to drop on Apple. Post earnings from Monday, which everyone was expecting Apple to save the market. When I say everyone, I mean the street, retail. So we saw that move lower. Apple did bounce on Friday. So we'll be watching the NASDAQ. Note the up-down volume. We beat by 2, almost 3 to 1 up volume. So the comp is looking okay. We're holding the 50-period moving average. Prices are below the 10-period EMA, however. And here is a chart of the Russell, which we saw break this ascending wedge pattern, dropped substantially. You'll note this is January. We're basically right back at the late December, early January breakout level, and we're holding that for now. Slow Stowe is oversold, so we could see this either embed like we did here, which I don't think will happen. This was the Ebola scare in October, but we could take a day or two to turn. So we'll be watching Slow Stowe and MACD to get with the program. Let's take a look at the Berkshire Hathaway holdings. This is a Excel spreadsheet ranked by percent of portfolio. You can see the top 25 here, moving down through the list, and some of the others. If you care to pause this and look at all of these shares that Warren has in his portfolio, you can do that. but we're going to look at the top 25. So looking at Berkshire Hathaway, we pointed out the BRKA Class A shares that we were right at resistance, previous support, and this volume by price congestion level. If we look at the components of Warren's portfolio, we can see we need to get AXP moving to the upside. That said, Bank of New York Mellon looks pretty good, moving higher above its 10 EMA. Slow Stow is meandering around overbought territory. MACD is above its signal line. Chicago Bridge and Iron, trend line break here would put prices higher and above into this Kirby level. Keep an eye on that one. Slow Stow is meandering around 50, and MACD is below its signal line. Charter Communications in the entertainment business, prices are above its 10 EMA. We have this volume by price level to deal with. A break above this trend line could get interesting. Note the increased volume. Slow Stow moving higher, MACD above its signal line. ConocoPhillips flagging here after a breakout of this trend line. Looks like it's building a base here. We have a volume by price Kirby level to deal with. We get above this price here, we could see prices appreciate a bit. Note Bollinger Bands are narrow. Prices are below the 10 EMA but above the 20. Slow Stow pointing back down, and MACD below its signal line. Costco had a nice run for most of 2014 into the first quarter. We are in this reverse Kirby area here that could be resistance, as well as that upper trend line. The moving averages are turning over. Note the 10 EMA is dropping as well. Price below the 10 EMA, Slow Stow turning. MACD could get above its signal line. So this could be a value proposition, but I'd like to see this level down here at 138 as a buy, previous breakout level. So make a note of Costco, could be a nice buy in the near future. Currently, with prices below the 10 EMA and the 10 EMA below the 50, that is a short opportunity for us. Every time we hit this level and get rejected, we could short that with puts, long puts, or whatever vehicle you like to use if you want to just short the stock. John Deere, nice little move higher for the past 3 to 4 days. Note the 10 EMA cross, prices above the 10 EMA, Bollinger Bands expanding. We're above the volume by price level resistance and into the Kirby. No overhead supply. Slow Stow is in the caution zone and MACD above its signal line. DirecTV moved off of the highs for the week. We'll watch that. Slow Stow continues to point lower, and MACD is back below its signal line on the short term, but above its signal line on a 12/26 duration. DaVita Healthcare moving sideways in this range. We'll watch that. 10 EMA right here, just above price. Slow Stow is getting oversold, could turn, and MACD could get above its signal line. We'll watch these two. If price gets back above the 10, this could test this breakout level here. No overhead supply. GM, descending wedge pattern here. Note the volume by price resistance, overhead. Slow Stow is moving higher, and MACD could get above its signal line on General Motors. Goldman Sachs consolidating along the 10 EMA and above the volume by price resistance. That's a good sign. Bollinger Bands are narrowing. Slow Stow moving higher, and MACD is below its signal line. So we'll wait for MACD, and hopefully price will stay above the 10 EMA. This could be a setup going into the week. Watch XLF and what the other banks are doing as well. IBM, we noted this volume by price bar and the Kirby. A few weeks ago, pre-earnings, we did see a move higher, and we appreciated by $10. If you managed to hold on to that through earnings, which we do not do, you did quite well. Slow Stow is in the caution zone, moving lower, and MACD still above its signal line. This is looking pretty good for Warren's portfolio. He's had Coca-Cola forever, right at the 50 period. We have a volume by price congestion level and could get above this level in the near future. Note the triangle pattern Slow Sto's turning and MACD's above its signal line. Liberty Global is one of the nicer setups in his portfolio. Price above all the moving averages. Bollinger Bands are fairly narrow. We get above this and hold, close above this level, we could see higher prices with no overhead supply. Slow Sto's turning, MACD above its signal line. So keep an eye on Liberty Global for the week, LBTYA. This could be a good trade. Moody's Corp, bolted higher, closed lower, flag right at the 10 EMA, no overhead supply, but for whatever reason that stock moved lower. I don't know if it was earnings, whatever. Make sure to do the homework. Slow Sto moved lower. We could see a turn back up. Keep an eye on that. MTB basically moving sideways in this huge horizontal pattern. Slow Sto moving lower. MACD below its signal line. PG, little wedge pattern here below all the moving averages, and this volume by price bar looks short to me. Slow Sto is turning. MACD could get above its signal line. If it got above the 10 EMA, you could probably trade it for a couple of points up to the 50 EMA, but until this pattern reverses and moves and consolidates and moves higher, I'm not particularly interested in PG. Precision Cast Parts. This one's looking kind of interesting. Descending channel pattern for most of 2014. Starting to move sideways in this flat base. Could get above this level here and move higher on this fairly expensive stock. Slow Sto is in caution zone and MACD is above its signal line. No reason why this can't appreciate a bit further, but note the 50 period moving averages overhead that could offer some resistance. A near-term target would be recent highs. Suncor Energy, prices moving sideways and holding the 20 period moving average as well as this volume by price level. Slow Sto could get oversold and turn, and MACD could get back above its signal line, so keep an eye on SU and energy in general. USB, Bancorp holding at the 10 period EMA below the 20 and the 50. We have this volume of price to deal with. Slow Sto's moving sideways, MACD above its signal line. USG, as you would expect, with home builders doing better, commodities doing better, the dollar moving lower. We'll keep an eye on this one. I don't particularly like these sideways patterns that take forever, but this looks like it could move higher and get back up to these levels here by the end of the summer. This is the construction building part of the year, as you would expect, the nicer months. Slow Sto is in the buy zone and MACD is above its signal line. Watch for prices to get back above and hold on the 10 period EMA for this to appreciate somewhat and get back up to this recent high on US gypsum. Visa moving sideways for almost 6 months now. Look for prices to get back above the MAs and the volume by price bar here. If it doesn't, if it drops below this level, this could get ugly. Slow Sto continues to move down and MACD is crossing. Viacom B holding at the 50 period, this volume by price level. This could move back higher. Watch for Slow Sto to turn and MACD to get back above its signal line. Wells Fargo, one of my favorite banks to trade once it sets up. Above its 10 EMA, above the volume by price level. It could break above this level if the banks continue to outperform. Watch XLF, the sector, and Slow Sto is above 50, could turn back up. MACD is above its signal line. Walmart continues to decline. It's a pretty big portion of Warren's portfolio. 10 EMA, as you can see, below the 50 and the 20. That's a short to us until the trend changes. Watch for a base. We're looking for this level down here as a better entry value proposition. If we get down to the 76 level, 75, this could be a good position for an investment for longer term. Note Slow Sto is in oversold territory, could turn from the green zone, and MACD is above its signal line. ExxonMobil, this one looks really good. Should continue to hold the 10 EMA. Looks like it's going to break out of this 6-month downtrend. 10 EMA, 50 cross, 20 EMA, 50 cross, looking pretty bullish. Slow Sto moving higher, MACD above its signal line. Keep an eye on the major energy components, Halliburton and so forth, Schlumberger, all the commodities and so forth. If the dollar continues to weaken, could look pretty good. This is a chart of tick cumulative on the 60-minute time frame. Note the Bollinger Bands here. This is the SPY. Tick cumulative continues to stay below its 10 EMA despite the bounce on Friday and the 60-minute price action. Here is the daily. We noted the signal line crossed through the 10 EMA, and we see NYMO is still negative. Trend was down in the depressed zone here, noting buying. So we're trying to figure out what they're buying into the first part of May. Tick Q on the NASDAQ composite. We noted the bounce here. Prices are, the indicator is starting to flatten out somewhat. Still note the blue candle, the blue sticks and the red sticks on the Elder Impulse for the week as well. NAMO is negative. We'll make a note of that for the week. We should also remind you that breadth is very important, obviously. We are negative on NYMO. We did see a bounce on Friday on, this is a chart, an area chart of the New York Stock Exchange, 2,000 stocks, a broader measure, but we have a nice E cross, so the summation index is moving lower. The same information for the NASDAQ. This is the NAMO, McClellan oscillator for the NASDAQ, negative here as well. We note the comp did bounce on Friday, but we have a more profound cross on NASI. So you want to keep an eye on the summation index as well as NAMO if you're trading NASDAQ stocks this week. Looking at VIX for a moment, we note that we're down near the caution zone again. We thought we'd get a nice move higher and a buy signal on Thursday, hoping that we would see that on Friday follow through, but we had some short covering and a lot of stops were taken out on Friday as well. Note slow stow RSI is moving lower for the VIX. Reflecting on bonds for a moment and performance last week, this is TLT. Note we have moved below this volume by price congestion level. Here's the previous breakout we saw in December. This was previously support in March, so we'll look for support here as well with slow stow in the buy zone. MACD should turn as well. The weekly reflects this large volume by price shelf here, which should be support if we push down through this 122.50 area, which I don't think will happen. We'll probably bounce here. It's near the lower Bollinger Band, and slow stow is quickly getting towards the green zone as well. MACD is pointed lower. RSI is somewhat weak. We'll watch for a bounce this week. Also, with regard to AGG, this is the Barclays Aggregate Bond Fund. This fund is a benchmark for most bond funds, as you know. We follow this right near this trend line. So we'll make a note of AGG, the fact that we saw buyers here on Friday, and that slow stow is in the buy zone, and MACD should turn as well. Here is a chart of copper. We noted a couple of weeks ago that we were looking for a break of this level. We finally got it. With the US dollar moving lower, it will affect positively on commodities. So we'll keep an eye on copper as well as some of the other construction related commodities. Here is a chart of WTIC, light crude oil. We have a trade on UWTI. When we broke out of this range here, we were anticipating higher prices as we continued to change trend and move higher. That's why we are staying with the trend. There's no sell signals as of yet. Prices just continue to move higher with the 10 EMA. UWTI, the velocity share is 3 times long crude ETN. Prices should continue to move higher on both WTIC and UWTI. Bollinger Bands have narrowed somewhat. Prices are holding above the 10 EMA. Slow stow is in the caution zone. That just means that we could see further consolidation before we see a move higher. Here are the IBD50 stocks in a candle glance format so that you can look at these very quickly. Just go back, pause this, and look for stocks that are oversold and turning on the slow stow. Some other names like Auto Home looking pretty good, hold above the 10 period EMA. Looks like it's getting back above volume by price. Slow stow is turning, and MACD could get back above its signal line. FLT, FLTX holding the 20 period. Let's see what FLTX looks like. Holding the 20 period moving average, breakout level, volume by price. Slow stow oversold, MACD below its signal line, prices below the 10 EMA. We'll keep an eye on that as well. For the indices that continue to move higher, we want to see not only Warren stocks moving higher, but the IBD50 as well. Kind of gives you a barometer of the health of the markets. Pretty much everything else moving lower. IPGP had a move lower. It looks pretty weak as well. Note the reverse Kirby. If this continues its move, slow stow and MACD below, as well as price below the 10 EMA. MTSI, Manhattan Associates, MEI, Monster Beverages, nice little bounce off the 5th period moving average. Note the volume by price bar there. Volume, the Bollinger Band's fairly tight, slow stow turning. MACD could get back above its signal line. Long consolidation on that particular stock. Paycom, fairly new on the list. Ulta, Salons, sideways pattern. Slow stow, MACD could get back above its signal line. Volume, we're looking at the 50 period moving average here. Keep an eye on Ulta as well as retail in general. VRX, overbought now in the caution zone. UTHR did the best last week. Appreciation in price really moved 7% on Friday. 10 EMA and the 50 period moving average overhead, as well as a 20 period. This could be a retest and a further short if this doesn't perform this week. So you kind of get an idea of what we're looking for in terms of the S&P 500 appreciation, as well as Warren stocks and the IBD50. You can go back through these and look at these individually. Okay, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. For you new traders, be sure to check out these top 5 or 6 videos, which will give you a better edge on understanding the markets, taking setups, and where to position yourself for the highest risk reward on your trade. In addition, if you don't subscribe to the blog, this is a spam-free site. Enter your email address in here and you can get these delivered to your email every day. You'll note my tweets are here, the watch list for the week or the day. You can just scroll down through these, keeping track of the trades that we're looking at, whether they're high type flags or Bollinger Band setups. It's also a place for me to document the trades and thoughts going into the weeks. So I hope this helps. Take care. We'll talk to you on the stream on Monday.